history. Should the man behind the wheel in the Toronto van attack be found not criminally responsible because of his autism spectrum disorder? Just before the holidays, Alek Minassian's month-long trial concluded with compelling closing arguments from both the Crown and the defense. Will he spend the rest of his life in jail, or will he be sent to a psychiatric hospital? The decision could affect criminal cases in courtrooms across the country for decades to come. A warning, some may find the details in our story this evening disturbing. Minassian has confessed he intended to kill each and every person he struck with a rental van on April 23, 2018. He's told multiple doctors he would have killed more if the windshield of the van hadn't become covered in liquid. The mass killer is seeking to be found not criminally responsible for 10 counts of first-degree murder and 16 counts of attempted murder, arguing that his specific autism diagnosis rendered him unable to know his actions were morally wrong. Autism alone has never resulted in an NCR verdict in Canadian history. We're now awaiting Justice Anne Malloy's ruling at the judge-only trial.
This is not a traditional Section 16, and I think that's why everybody's paying attention to it.
Section 16 of the Criminal Code reads that no person is criminally responsible for an act committed or an omission made while suffering from a mental disorder that rendered the person incapable of appreciating the nature and quality of the act or omission, or of knowing that it was wrong.
Oh, hi. Good to see you there. I'm using these fantastic new glass phones from Just in Time Flowers Industries.
This video of Minassian performing a school project has been shown at the trial. The killer told psychiatrists after the attack, most people are going to think that mass murder is senseless, and most won't understand the perspective I have. Crown Prosecutor Joseph Callahan told the court, in this case, Mr. Minassian never lost sight of the wrongfulness of his actions. He always knew from society's perspective his choice to kill was wrong.
If the families of those people who were murdered and were injured were in this room right now, what would you say to them?
I honestly don't know what I would say.
The defense asked their key expert witness, Dr. Alexander Westphal, a psychiatrist from Yale, in his opinion, did Mr. Minassian have the moral capacity to decide between right and wrong on April 23, 2018? Dr. Westphal replied no. In this circumstance, absolutely not. From his multiple interviews with Minassian, Dr. Westphal added that while he can explain on an intellectual level what he did was wrong, he doesn't understand it at an emotional level. The question remains, does this reach the threshold of a not criminally responsible verdict? Veteran criminal defense lawyer Kim Schofield has been listening to the arguments and testimony closely and has her own thoughts on what Justice Anne Malloy may ultimately decide.
It's a difficult task, and it's very nuanced because you understand on an intellectual level that others would consider this morally wrong, because you don't actually get it to be morally wrong. Does that involve a Section 16 finding? That's really the question, and I think the answer is going to come down to no. And I think that this falls not far short, but just barely outside. And I think it's an argument that has to be made. We have to always test that. But the question really isn't why doesn't it fall in Section 16? The question has to be, how can it fall into Section 16?
In her final remarks, Justice Malloy told everyone listening into the virtual trial that autism is not on trial here. Alek Minassian is on trial. She will be delivering her written decision on March 3rd.